I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the village board meeting, August 27th. If we'd all stand, we'll have Trustee Costa lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When you're ready, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa.
Present.
Trustee DeVivo.
Present.
Trustee Kajanis.
Present.
Trustee Sabo.
Present.
Trustee Suisse.
Present.
Trustee Yukich.
Present.
Mayor Daley.
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay. This would be E1. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of July 23rd, 2013 meeting?
So moved.
First by Trustee DeVivo,
Second.
second by Trustee Costa. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Okay, the next portion of this meeting is an award for our financial reporting. Next item on the agenda is recognition of the village's finance director, John Sawyers, and account clerk, Kathy Cleric, for assisting the village in attaining its 11th straight certificate of achieving in financial accounting. This is a tremendous accomplishment. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by the government and its management. I'd like to invite John Sawyer to come up front so I can present him with this plaque. Okay, this would be G. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of July 25th through August 8th, 2013?
So moved.
First by Trustee DeVivo,
Second.
second by Trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion? Madam
I
Clerk,
was-
please call the roll.
I just had a question, Mayor.
Sure. Go right ahead.
Was the purchase of the camera, was that for a replacement, or is that a brand-new item?
It's a new item. The camera that we had before was battery operated. We were going through batteries like crazy. It wasn't very environmentally sound. This one's rechargeable.
Oh, thanks, okay.
I'm sorry, you weren't talking into the mic.
The previous camera that we had was based on batteries, and we went through batteries like mad, and so it wasn't very environmentally sound. This one's a better camera, and it's rechargeable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next portion of the meeting is reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. Under the Northern Will County Joint Water Agency meeting, the next water agency meeting will be held Monday, September 9th at 11 a.m. The meeting will be held at the Village of Woodridge, Woodridge Village Hall, 5 Plaza Drive in Woodridge. I encourage any interested people to show up. The next is a thank you to staff for the Chamber Expo display and event staffing. Thank you to staff members Yelena Bowes and Manager Davis for their work on the Chamber of Commerce Expo display this year. Also thanks to staff members Mike Salamovitz, Janie Patch, Heather Kodinski, did I say that right? Kodinski, Cam Davis, Joe Baber, and John Robinson. These staff members either helped set up or take down the booth or worked both on Saturday. Residents who visited us in the booth predominantly wanted to look at the Myers plans and wanted to know when the store would be open. The answer is before Easter 2014 is their tentative opening date. Residents also asked about the Aaron Hills Subdivision Park development, stormwater improvements, and our Village Heroes Trail System. I received several questions regarding leaf burning, which I hope we can resolve that as we're moving into the season. A good time was had by all. I'd like to congratulate the Chamber of Commerce on a job well done. A few photos can be seen on a large screen here in the room. First, here I am on Saturday with Old Oak florist owner Troy Schultz. Mr. Schultz provided an outstanding display of floral arrangements designed by a truly creative professional. This local business offers a beautiful selection of fresh flowers and gifts for any occasion. Additional photos for the expo events are being shown. Also, while attending the expo, I visited with Marion Village representatives Margaret Osherite. Margaret discussed an upcoming health and fitness fair, which will be held at Marion Village, 15624 Marion Drive, here in Homer Glen, on Thursday, September 12th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. A photo of Margaret and I appear on a large screen in the boardroom. Participants at the Health and Fitness Fair will benefit from the following services: blood pressure testing, ACCU checks, chair massages, health food sampling, with advice from a nutritionist and a SAS shoe vendor. Additional highlights on the event include a wide array of seminars covering GAIT and G-A-I-T and balance, muscular degeneration, surgery, fitting for glasses, and living with purpose and intention, as well as a lesson on the Lazy Boy workout. For additional information about Marion Village and this special community event, please go to www.marionvillage.com. Under special use permit, as the village manager outlined in his weekly report, the village attorney has been given copies of the special use permits related to liquor licenses, going all the way back to the start of the village. The attorneys are reviewing this information, and the village's codes will be providing the board with a report and recommendation in the near future. Under leaf burning recommendations from the Public Services and Safety Committee, it is my understanding that the Public Services and Safety Committee has scheduled a special meeting on Wednesday, September 11th at 7 p.m. for the purposes of continuing their ongoing discussion about leaf burning. I'm glad to see that the committee is winding up its discussion on this matter, and I look forward to receiving a recommendation for the board action as soon as possible. Under the Oak Valley Stormwater Improvement, the village's first large-scale stormwater improvement project is nearing completion. Pictured on a large screen in the village boardroom tonight is a photo of the Oak Valley Stormwater Improvement Project. Over 100 truckloads of silt and dirt was removed from this detention area. The result of this project has been a dramatic increase in water storage capacity in this important stormwater detention area. I want to continue to thank the Homeowners Association for their support and cooperation, and of course, the village staff members who have worked so diligently to get this project done. Under our upcoming events, Carrizo Foot Clinic will have a ribbon cutting ceremony tomorrow at their new location, 15915 Crystal Creek Drive. I hope members of the village can join us at this ribbon cutting. Secondly, Homer Heat 12 and under will hold a car wash fundraiser on Saturday, August 31st from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 15700 South Bell in the parking lot between Chesden's and Nick's Barbecue. And thirdly, Homer Harvest Days Festival will once again be held at Tratina Farm on September 7th and 8th. Trustee Costa Swees will have additional information details to report on in a few minutes. Under achievements, congratulations to the Homer Heat 14 and under for taking second place in the Cal Ripken Surfs Up tournament in South Carolina. And that concludes the mayor's report. We'll start with trustees. Trustee Costa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, today we received our last invoice on the festival that we had in June. So I believe we can get everything together for us at our next meeting and report back to the board the final numbers. They look pretty good, but we want to make sure we're accurate when we report it back to the board. Also, I have just something I'd like to share with everybody. Over in our one of our township parks, Sandra Park, if anybody's read the paper or seen anything, there's some upgrades going on there. And got a note from the president of the Homer Glen Foundation, Laura Ward, and she's happy to announce that we're official finalists in the PNC Neighborhood Wish List Program. I'm going to give you a link that you can go to. And what this is you go on there and vote for the Sandra Storybook Park project, and it's on the PNC Neighborhood Wish List. If we get 500 votes, yes votes for the project, $500 will be received, and they're hoping to add a new book and possibly a bicycle bench to the park. The website to go on is pncneighborhoodwishlist.com. And just follow the link to vote for the Sandra Storybook Park. And that is my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Costa. Trustee Yukich?
Thank you, Mayor. As for the leaf burning, we are having a meeting on September 11th. We hope we can come up with a solution. I don't believe we will that night, but we're trying to appease two sides, and they're definitely a very hard divided line. We're trying to make this to where it's a win-win for everybody, so we will be discussing it, and we would like everyone that has any interest in it to please come to the meeting. That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Yukich. Trustee Sabo?
Thank you. Reporting on behalf of the Environment Committee, and the first report refers to Emerald Ash Borer. The work for the stem-by-stem tree survey on public parkways and village-owned property will begin in September. Volunteers are welcome. We are looking for volunteers to be part of the tree survey work. The meeting will take place soon with Mark Dunneman of Natural Path, who has been selected for the grant work. Homer Glen Lands Day. The Environment Committee would like to present the Homer Glen Lands Day Community and Nature in Harmony Awards at the October 8th meeting of the Village Board. A tree will be planted in commemoration of Homer Glen Lands Day on the Homer Township Library grounds, which is a public property. And more details will be announced later as to when this presentation will take place. The next report pertains to the outdoor lighting ordinance, and the Environment Committee will meet next week in order to review the latest draft of the outdoor lighting ordinance, 62713, and continue to prepare the draft as complete as possible for the presentation to the Village Board. Both CED and Environment Subcommittees will have the opportunity to review the work, and the CED Committee is welcome to attend, as other committees and it's open to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee Kate Janis?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to report on behalf of the Economic Development Committee. On June 27th, the CED did meet, reviewed the lighting ordinance as presented from the joint subcommittee of the Environmental and the CED. At that time, Trustee Sabo was present, as well as Trustee Swees. There was quite a bit of dialogue that we had. There was a motion that was presented to accept the recommendation. Those minutes have not been released. We will be having a meeting coming up shortly to approve those minutes and release the motion that has been approved to recommend the acceptance of the work for many, many months that we had reviewing the lighting ordinance. As we recall, this all started from a question that we asked from CED on the lighting ordinance, on the compliance issues on our residents, homeowners, and our businesses. At that point in time, we did receive an attorney review on this, and from there, we instituted the subcommittee to review and to ratify and make changes to the lighting ordinance. And at this point in time, we are looking forward to going forward and presenting the lighting ordinance to the village trustees. We will have, of course, supplemental sheets with fact-based issues that support the decisions behind everything. on our research. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, trustee Kay Janis. Trustee Swees?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reporting on behalf of the Homer Harvest Days Committee, only 12 days left before Harvest Day commences on September 7th and 8th at the Trentina Farm. Besides featuring food, old-fashioned entertainment, children's activities, pony and hay rides, antique tractors, and pioneer demonstrations, and much more, this year we are featuring Taylor's Battery B, which portrays a Union Civil War enactment. At 11 a.m. on Saturday, the Civil War cannon will announce the opening of Harvest Days. The full-scale cannon replica will be fired on the hour from 11 to 6 with hourly demonstrations. There will also be demonstrations on Sunday, but we do not yet know about firing the cannon. A portrayal of a Civil War surgeon during times of combat will take place on Saturday. Simulated minor surgeries will be performed throughout the day on Saturday, with a major surgery performed at 4 p.m. The illusion becomes a magic show with a medical theme, and patient volunteers are encouraged and needed. We have many more arts and fine craft vendors selling this year, as well as more demonstrators, including the corn cracker and antique tractor, which makes dried corn into seed. Please refer to the website at www.homerharvestdays.org for a complete listing of all the vendors, demonstrators, and activities taking place that weekend. Also, reporting for the Environment Committee. Just a brief reminder to mark your calendar for September 27th, which will be the next Starry Night stargazing event at the Trentina Farm. That will be starting at 8 p.m. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, trustee Swees. Trustee DeVivo?
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting on the Parks Committee, we were fortunate to receive a contribution from the Homer Glen Foundation of $3,000 at the Parks meeting last night. This donation was from the Mike Hikes and was given to help finance the Oliveira Trail connection. Thanks to Mike Ziska and the foundation for this generous donation. Staff has applied for a TEP and an ITEP grant for the Heroes Trail Goodings Grove extension. We hope this one goes through. These extensions are very important to the trail system. In order for the residents to enjoy the trails, they need to have destinations or a means of connection to the rest of the community and to other towns as well. The Parks Committee is very focused on moving forward with these connections and will be looking for the board's direction in the future. The bike trail warning lights are in, and staff is working with ComEd and Mead on installation. On Erin Hills Park, contractors have completed paving paths at Erin Hills Park. The section of trail across the street between Hickory and Dublin has been completed, and barricades were installed by the Highway Department to discourage motorized vehicles from cutting through. Once we have the split rail fence and bollards installed, we will remove the barricades. I continue to work with staff on selections for the park as it moves forward. I believe we are on track and things are going smoothly. Cam has pictures of the park, and I encourage everyone to take a look and see what's been done so far. Thank you.
Well, I thank Trustee DeVivo for asking me to show you these pictures. It's pretty exciting. I know not everybody gets down into the Erin Hills subdivision. So this is a sign, of course. These are the signs that we put on all of our public improvements now, so people know who to call if they have any questions. This is the pathway that goes from the road back into the subdivision area just east of Erin Hills that's been installed. And when I was out taking this picture, just happened to have a young 12-year-old using it, probably one of the very first users of it. He was thrilled to be able to ride through. It's obviously not done yet because the landscaping isn't done, but the path portion is done, and that's an exciting connection. It leads directly across the street into the park. There's another view of it. It was obviously made by design, squiggly, so that it would not appear to be a road. So that's the reason for that. This is directly across the street, actually into the park area. All of the asphalt paving now, or most of it, has been completed, and you can actually, if you wanted to stop your car and walk in and try to get a better feel for the park design, you can do that now. There's the sidewalk in front. It's extra wide, and that's the other side of it that will eventually meet up with the homes there to the north. Some more pictures of the paths throughout. This is one of the play areas. This is the farthest easterly play area, and if you just kind of get a feel for the play equipment will be there, the kids will be on top of it, and they'll be looking down into the water. It'll be a really pretty setting. This is another play area in the park, and this is the third one. There'll also be a little putting green that was part of the grant application that hasn't been laid out yet. This middle section is actually where the little gazebo goes in the park, and you'll see some gentlemen who were there working when I showed up to take the pictures. So it's really turning out nice, and if you want to get a better look at it, I encourage you to stop by and take a look. It's progressing every day. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, that concludes the trustees' reports. Is there a treasurer's report?
Yes, Mayor, I have the treasurer's report of cash and investments at July 31st. It's the third month of fiscal 2014. It shows the general fund with cash and investment balances of $6,077,565. The motor fuel tax fund with a cash and investment balance of $1,751,689. The land acquisition fund had a balance of $2,130,203. The park fund had a cash and investment balance of $1,177,511. And the last fund, the capital project fund, had a cash and investment balance of $23,612,281. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions for the treasurer? Okay, does the clerk have a report?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
How about the village attorney?
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
How about any task force chairpersons? I believe, Joe, you wanted to say something?
Thank you, Joe Weber, building official. Approximately a week and a half ago, we received a special event permit application from the Founders Club to hold a 5K race at the Kono Farm on September 21st from 7 to 11 a.m. The race route would utilize a portion of the farm and a portion of 167th Street east to Cedar Road and west of Parker. This morning, we met with the event organizers, the mayor, our EMA, police, fire, highway department, and it was decided closure to through traffic would be beneficial for the safety of the residents and the participants. Some of the topics discussed this morning were the notification to the residents, the city of Lockport, school transportation services, signage, barricades, safety and directional personnel, and insurance. For your consideration at the September 10th board meeting, will be the closure of 167 to through traffic between Cedar and Parker. Our special event ordinance also limits special events to 2 occurrences per calendar year on a zoning lot. We've had one special event already at this property, the Earth Day Arbor Day event, which with 2 special event applications pending. Also, there's the annual Kono Fall Carn Maze yet to apply for their special event permit. A request for your approval of both the additional special event and partial closure of 167 to through traffic can be anticipated at the next September 10th board meeting. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding this particular subject.
Thank you, Joe. The meeting went well this morning, very organized. All public safety officials were there. It seems as though everything was covered, and I think Joe, the head of the building department, is satisfied with what's going to go on. So, minus any questions for Joe? Anybody have any questions for Joe? All right, thanks for your report, Joe. Are there any other public safety officials that would like to report tonight? Okay, how about the village manager?
Yes, Mayor, I have a number of different items. I'll get through them here as quick as I can. The first one I would just say is Finance Director Sawyers is going to be contacting each of the trustees. We're going to try add something to the mix this year, try to set up individual appointments with you, either in person or over the phone, where we can kind of give you a 5 to 6 month synopsis of where the village's expenses and revenues are, kind of do it on a one-by-one basis and answer any questions you might have. It's something that I used to do in a previous community that I managed. The trustees always found it really useful, and they were able to ask halfway through the year any financial questions. Was there an expectation of money being extra money being around, or was there a reduction in revenue, things of that nature. So John's going to be contacting you probably by email and suggesting some dates and some times, and if you could get back to him, that would be great. We really appreciate it. The village this past weekend, one of the things that we gave out at the Chamber Expo was the village paid for some bags, some new Shop Homer Glen bags, as we continue to promote that long-standing effort, and with our website listed on them. The extra bags that were not handed out on Saturday, we're going to put together a new offering here at the village. We're going to create some new resident welcome bags for new residents that come into Village Hall or who may call and may be interested in coming by and picking them up. And we're going to fill them full of good things here, good information here from the village. So I wanted to let you know about that. That's a new program we're going to be starting here pretty soon. The mayor was very gracious in saying thank you to all the staff members who worked this past weekend, and I just want to reiterate and say thank you for mentioning it, and I really appreciate all the hard work that all those staff members the mayor mentioned put forth for that. The Long Run Creek cleanup project, we've been meeting on that, and it looks like we might pretty much have a date set for when we're going to make that available to residents. And just to revisit that, that's going to be a kind of a public information effort where we mail out to people that live along Long Run Creek and let them know that if they know of items that exist in the creek adjacent to their property that would be useful to remove from the creek to improve flow, that we would like to know about that. If they can haul them out to their curb, great. If they can't, if they could let us know about it so we could go look at it and schedule a potential removal by volunteers. And we're working on this project. We think we've got a date down. We'll be announcing that probably in the next week. And then we'll start doing some direct marketing to all those residents who live along the creek. I neglected at the start to wish Joe Baber happy birthday. He's on vacation this week, but he's here tonight. I appreciate that. He turns 29 this Thursday. So we wish Joe a happy birthday. Let's see. The mayor recently sent a letter to the Will County Highway Department asking if they could summarize where the 143rd Street, the Will County 143rd Street Improvement Project is in terms of meeting their schedules and deadlines and things of that nature. The county engineer very graciously responded quickly to the mayor's request, and that, I believe, 2-page letter is, if it's not already on the website, will be put on the website this week so that residents interested in seeing what the new schedule, with the revised schedule for 143rd Street is, they can go right on our website and get all the information they want from the county on that. So I wanted to mention that. And finally, Mayor, in Village Board, the last item I wanted to do is, as you know, on a quarterly basis, I give out a staff appreciation award. It's called ABCD Award, Above and Beyond the Call of Duty. And tonight I'm very happy to present it to Mike Salamovich. Mike does a lot of work around the village very quietly. And we're coming to the completion. I put it back up on the board for this wonderful Oak Valley project. And if you haven't, I know it's a detention pond, and it's maybe not exciting to the average person, but this is a huge improvement for the village and for that subdivision. And it's going to serve that subdivision in that area very well for a very long time. And it would not, I don't think, have gone so smoothly as it did and look so good if it wasn't for Michael's efforts. And of course, he's got a lot more projects like this to do. So it's appropriate that we give him some recognition on this first one to try to boost up his spirits as he moves forward on a lot more projects. So Michael, the ABCD Award comes with a gift certificate from me that I pay for a local, they get to choose where they want to spend their $50 here in the community. So I just want to congratulate Mike, get a quick picture with him, and thank him for all his good work.
Thank you, Campbell.
Hey, Dave, come up with me, would you? You represent the association. Come on, let's join the picture. You've been a big supporter on all this. Why don't you do it? Come on up. Stand on your, thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Joe. Talk to you.
Thanks, Mike. Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
And to dovetail on that, HR Green has been the engineers on this project, and I drive by it all the time. I go by, there's somebody there every day. It looks wonderful. I mean, it's the way a detention pond was meant to function. The grass, as you can see, even in this heat, is starting to grow already. So I'm looking forward to it being finished up, and thanks, Mike. Okay, that concludes reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. The next portion of this meeting is public comment. I see we have one person that would like to speak tonight, Dennis Gerwin. If you'll step up to the podium, name and address for the record.
Dennis Gorring, 12250 West Derby Lane, Homer Glen, Orland Park, Homer Glen. First off, I owe an apology to the mayor and the village manager for neglecting to mention them in my letter of thanks concerning the benefit that was held on August 9th. It was unintentional. Accept my apologies, please. I'm sorry that I failed to mention you two guys. Without your help, it wouldn't have come off as well as it did. Having said that, I want to address the issue of the Class O liquor license, which I have a copy of the agenda supplement sheet that you guys looked at the last meeting. And this Mr. Fernandez that is quoted in here somewhat extensively, I think he's playing real loose with the facts of the Illinois Liquor Control Commission, specifically on his reference to Article 6, General Provisions, which says that a beauty treatment, well, it doesn't say that, his interpretation is a beauty treatment package is referenced, could be derived from the meal and hotel package exceptions. Well, if you read that from the Illinois Liquor Control Commission, it simply states that you can combine alcohol in a package if you serve meals. And you can combine it in a package if you're a hotel and offer at least 25 rooms for overnight accommodations. There is nothing in this Illinois Liquor Control Commission that is anywhere close to allowing a package price for alcohol and other services combined. Nothing close to it. He himself says that he doesn't believe there would be a problem, but there's no substantial foundation here for this Class O license with a combined liquor and service pricing. I think this needs to be re-examined. I'm not saying that this license shouldn't exist. Personally, I don't think it should. But I think it's really based on a loose foundation. And I think it should be tabled before any licenses are issued to beauty spas. I understand a number of them have come in the last 2 weeks and inquired about it, which I said would happen at the last meeting. And after, of course, they're given their licenses, after going through the regular procedures, they'll be then coming in for their gambling licenses. So, you know, we'll have Las Vegas written all over us here. As far as it, I have another question. Why would this not qualify under the license qualification of license F? Since that's a, as it's put, drinks served and consumed on the premises. That's a $1,500 license as opposed to the Class O, which is $300. We're really cheap when it comes to licenses as far as the beauty salons are concerned. As far as it being a growing trend, nothing is further from the truth. I'm an old guy. I'm retired. I got a lot of time on my hands. And I want to tell you, I drew boundary lines from the Indiana-Illinois state line on the east, the Route 31 on the west, Monee on the south, and Irving Park Road on the north. And I contacted 117 different communities by phone. And I spoke with the mayors of those cities or villages that issue licenses, or in many cases, the chiefs of police that are responsible for issuing licenses. Of the 117 contacted, I found 9 that allow it. They are Burr Ridge, Glen Ellen, Lockport, Wheaton, Oswego, Roselle, Homer Glen, Winfield, and Richton Park. Oswego has numerous stipulations besides just letting them allow serve beer or wine. Burr Ridge, Glen Ellen, and Richton Park, although they do have the classification of licenses, none of them has issued any. So much for the big interest. The communities that don't allow it, these are the ones that do, okay? And these, my friends, are the ones that don't. Almost 92% of the villages out of 117 don't allow it. They have no interest in it. They haven't been contacted for it. And some of the comments I got from the mayors and the chiefs of police are not fit for me to repeat here. Frankly, they want to know what's wrong with this town. So, you know, you might want to consider some of that. Our reputation is not exactly positive at this point. And you can check with, I'm not going to give you this list, you know, I did my homework, you should do your own. You can contact any one of these and talk to the same person I did, the chief of police, or whoever was in charge of issuing licenses, they'll tell you the same thing. Some of them are totally shocked, and a lot of them are women, by the way, and they're the ones that were shocked more than the men, that this is being offered. Again, Burr Ridge doesn't have any, even though they have a light classification of that. And Glen Ellen doesn't have any out, and I forget the third one, but Oswego, I think it was, has none out. This issue needs to be re-examined. It really does. I don't think we need beauty shops handing out beer and wine to make their customers comfortable. If anybody should be comfortable, it should be the people going into the MRI over here. You know, people that are afraid of those machines. They're the ones that probably need a shot or two before they get in that thing. You know. You tell me this, and this, but you gave Mr. Pickering 6 minutes.
You're getting off the subject. You
Well,
came here to
no,
speak.
that is the subject.
You came here to speak about one thing, and you're speaking now about MRI people
Well,
having
I'm telling
shots
you
and
that
what
this
have you.
issue
Come on,
needs to be
let's.
re-examined.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. That concludes public comment. The next portion of this meeting is legislation and action items. This would be J1. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-048, a text amendment to ordinance 08-048 entitled The Village of Homer Glen Zoning Ordinance, amending the temporary sign ordinance?
So moved.
First by trustee Yukich,
Second.
second by trustee K. Janis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call trustee Sabo.
Yes. The Plan Commission has agreed to allow the applicant here for the Halloween store, both ordinances. So or both types of signage, excuse me. So I would like to know how many signs actually they can have.
Village manager?
Well, I know you talked to Erin about that, right? She gave you an answer on
No,
that?
I did not.
Oh, I thought she told me she did. You have, well, as you always have had, the ability of businesses, we don't differentiate between temporary businesses or permanent businesses, the right for that business in town to do a temporary signage out on the road or in front of their business or whatever, and that will continue. This doesn't change that. And then what this does change is that this gives them, gives businesses the right to have a temporary ID sign so that that ID sign that's up against the business does not eat up all their 91 days for their temporary signage. I think the most signs that this particular business could get, the one that you mentioned, the Halloween store, I think is 4 because it's a corner business. So we can have 2 signs up on the business itself because it has 2 frontages, one that faces 143rd and one that faces Bell, and then I think 2 temporary signs. I believe it's 4. It's either 3 or 4. Does that answer your question?
Well,
But a business like Jean Marie's out here wouldn't get as many because she just faces Bell.
Right.
So she just had that one. So it's a little bit unique for those few, and when you think about it, we have very few corner businesses in our shopping centers, but it gives them a little bit more if they want to utilize it. They don't have to.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Answers the question. It's just that, we're increasing signage to help businesses, and that's important, really important. We just also have to look at the other side and see how, if that becomes an issue of clutter or more signs than we feel are really necessary. So it's something that need, give this a chance and see how it works.
Right. Well, Trustee Salva, glad you brought that up, because I asked Erin if this passes tonight. She's been doing, I think, a very good job as we make the transition into fully enforcing the sign changes that the board has made over the past 2 years. And I asked her as we move forward on this to take photos, to keep track of all this. Of course, we'll have the permits that they have to fill out, so we'll have that as a form of record, so that we can either bring it back and show it to the board if you're not able to see it out in the community, or if questions come up, we'll be able to use the photos.
Well, I do appreciate the evaluation. I think that's sound thinking.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
I just have a
Trustee
question.
Suisse, go ahead.
Temporary signs, it says 2 temporary signs are permitted per business. One may be ground mounted. Does that include an inside window sign? So that would count. That would not be an exception, right?
Window signage is separate from this.
So that would be in addition to the
Right.
temporary business and the
Right.
temporary
Right,
sign?
it always has been. If you drive around town, you'll see a lot of indoor window signage, probably 20, 30, I don't know how many, but a lot. And then occasionally you'll see that business have a temporary sign or two outside. So that's how
So
it's
window
always-
signs are,
It's
not
covered
counted.
under a separate portion
Okay.
of the ordinance, yep.
Okay.
They have a restriction on how big their how much of the window they can
30%,
use.
right?
Right.
Okay.
And it's the whole window, it's not like individual panes, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion, comment? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J2. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 13-014, authorizing a $383,177.08 reduction in the letter of credit number 2006-1496 for Hidden Valley, or Hidden Cove subdivision from the current LOC amount of $724,598.23 to the new LOC amount of $341,421.15.
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo,
Aye, second.
second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? I'd just like to say one thing. I wish that the issues we have in these subdivisions moved along as easily as it has in Hidden Cove. They have really worked with us to resolve their issues. I'm glad to see that their letter is being resolved, or reduced, I should say. And they still have some work to do, but it's a very important subdivision that has a, what is it, Mike, a Class 1 dam in it?
Correct.
Class 1 dam in it, so very important. Anyway, is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J3. Is there a motion to approve the completion of a sidewalk gap project on the west side of South Bell Road, south of Founder's Crossing, Martingale Lane, and authorize the village manager to execute an agreement with the contractor providing the lowest responsible proposal for a not-to-exceed amount of $9,300.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion? This, real quick, George, this is we have a continuous sidewalk in front of our strip mall here. And because Cardinal Fitness, I believe, owns the property, never decided to build their headquarters on that property, the sidewalk is not completed. So the sidewalk ends at a certain point and then begins on the other side. We went in and we established a walking path that leads to this strip mall here, but there's a gap of one property that does not have a sidewalk. I thoroughly recommend, as do the first and the second, to get this completed. It's basically a hazard and a safety issue waiting to happen. Trustee Yukich?
All I wanted to ask is, Cameron, this did go out for an RFP or no?
What we did was, if we basically requested proposals from the two different firms. So because it was under the 20,000, we didn't have to take it out for bid. So we did at least we tried to get additional ones, but these were the only two that submitted proposals.
That's fine.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Swayze?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Janis.
Motion carries. This would be J4. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-049, an ordinance approving a plat of consolidation, lots 31 and 32 in the Stonebridge Woods subdivision?
So moved.
First that is Trustee DeVivo.
Second.
Second by Trustee Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Swayze?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Janis. Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J5. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 13-015, a resolution supporting the Goodings Grove extension to the Village of Homer Glen's Heroes Trail System?
Aye, so moved.
First by Trustee Sabo,
Second.
second by Trustee DeVivo. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Excuse me. Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Janis. Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Swayze?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J6. Is there a motion to grant a one-year extension of the existing special use permit for the property commonly known as 12137 West 159th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois? That's the Kane Brothers.
Aye, so moved.
First by Trustee Sabo,
Second.
second by Trustee Yukich. Is there discussion?
Mr.
Trustee
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Costa, go ahead.
Okay. I believe the Kane brothers are here, Mr. Mayor. I'd like if they could speak to the board.
Yeah, they can speak to the board. I would like to just, for the benefit of the public, so they understand what's going on here. The village manager is giving you a lengthy, layout of what's transpired over the last year. And we have the fire department represented here tonight in Joey, and they do not support it. The staff does not support it. They have been granted a year to comply with the statutes. I personally don't support it. I do not want to be responsible for any action that takes place as a result of a fire. They've been given ample time to complete what they need to complete. It isn't done, and now they're back here asking for another extension. So with that being said, if anybody has a question of the Kane Brothers partnership, they're sitting right here, and you're welcome to ask them a question.
Excuse me, are we able to address the board? Or?
Sure.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Frank Kane, my brother Chris. We own the property that's being discussed here. We came this evening.
And for the record, your attorney is
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Kavanaugh?
Richard Kavanaugh, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Who's present as well. We have been working on this property since we purchased it in '09. It has been a long process going through, fumbled and misstepped a few times along the way, but have worked diligently to bring everything into compliance. We were granted a time frame of 1 year to meet all the building codes as well as the fire district codes. At this point, the building codes have been met. The fire district codes have not. Due to the expense, which we were unaware of a year ago, how expensive the two systems are. We're required to do two systems, a fire alarm system that notifies the fire department if there's any kind of fire any regard, and then a sprinkler system that would engage should there be a fire. At this point, we did sign a contract with a company to install a fire alarm system so that if there were any incident on the property, it would communicate with the fire department and let them know that there was a fire there. We're asking for up to a 12-month period to afford getting the sprinkler system in. We did not realize the expense of both these systems, as I mentioned in the beginning. We're working hard to get it done. We are a very seasonal business and a small family business that, like many, has struggled through the past few years to keep the stores open. And so we're asking for some consideration from the village board as well as the fire district to work with us. We have committed to put the fire system in and fire alarm that does communicate with the fire department so that they would be aware of any situations or any fires that would possibly happen on the property at this point.
Okay, thank you. Just another comment before I open it up to anybody that would like to make a comment. This is not common practice. We've asked other establishments before issuing them a permit to put the sprinkler system in. We would be creating a special situation for somebody that has already been given a year to comply with this. But yet, we've asked Refresh Pilates and the Greek Church to have to install these things. How, in my right mind, do I explain to them that they have to abide by the rule, but you've already had a year and you don't have to abide by the rule? So that would be my only comment. I open it up to the public, or to the board.
I would like to ask, how long do you think the fire alarm system, I mean, is that going to happen within the next couple of months, or do they give you an idea?
I would anticipate the sooner they submit their plans to the fire district to get approval, and then they'll begin installation based on their schedule. I would imagine within the next 30 days, based on the back and forth with the fire district.
Okay.
It's usually pretty quick. They're not.
But that, so you understand clearly, that does not include the suppression system.
That is not a fire sprinkler system. That's the fire alarm system.
That's just an alarm.
I understand that.
Okay.
And then in reference to the Greek church being more of a public entity with much more people, do you have public, do you have a lot of employees?
Well, that is a
I
unique
was just
situation.
curious
We're
there.
not open to the public. We're a business that's tucked back off the road, but our business is done at a homeowner's house. They don't choose to come to us. We have nothing to sell them in the building. We don't make any money from having people to the property. We're not a business like that. I have pictures if anyone's interested. It was a 2,000 square foot house built in '83 on an I-2 industrial zone piece of property. It's been zoned I-2 since 1978. We were requested to change the zoning to I-1 as the village doesn't recognize the I-2 anymore. The home's been there, as I mentioned, since 1983. We've substituted beds and dressers for desks at this point, and it is not a business that is open to the public, nor does it have the public in it at any point. We do have employees that are there, on average, I would say 3 to 4, from 8:30 to 5 throughout the day, and nobody's there after that point.
I want everybody to understand one thing. I am absolutely pro-business. I want business, but I can't have six sets of rules, okay? We either have to enforce things or we don't enforce things. And in this situation, I'm all in favor of you guys making a living here in Homer Glen. We run on sales tax dollars. We'd like to have you here, but there are a set of rules. And I believe Trustee Kay Janis wanted to say something.
Yeah, and to the reference of the church, let me just make this comment that that's 2 hours, an hour and a half once a week for the congregation, which is very small. But anyway, I just have a tough time, and I back and forth on this, and I keep on thinking back to life safety codes, that I have to always defer to the experts on life safety codes, and they have to. The people that enforce life safety codes,
You need to speak into the mic.
the folks, the experts on the life safety codes, I believe have to speak first and approve a project on this situation first. If they don't approve it, I don't understand how we could circumvent as a village. And these issues of life safety. And this is life safety. I understand it's not open to the public, it's a few employees. I understand that. It's almost, an office situation. So I'd like to hear what Joey has to say on this. If you could weigh in, or Joe, or someone, I'd appreciate that. On where we're at on this. Where are we at?
Well, if they would like to step up and say something at the microphone, it's in your package, they've denied it. They're not in favor of it.
Is the sprinkler system, and I know there's a couple of these things that's happened in the village in the short term, and they went through the expense of putting in the sprinkler system. There was one instance, I believe, to where the sprinkler system wasn't fully complete, but they actually had on-site fire protection there in case of an emergency while it was being worked on, while they were open for their occupancy. I know there's a case of that as well. So, it becomes a double-edged sword. We make some follow the rules, and we make some others, well, you don't have to follow the rules. We'll turn our eyes on it. So if there's an emergency that happens, who's at fault for that? It really falls back on the village for allowing it, I believe.
Well, it starts, to not interrupt you, but it starts with the safety people that give us advice. I don't play fireman. I don't play policeman. The fire department says no. The building department says no. This board can say yes, but I say no.
I'm having a real tough time either way. I want the business to thrive. I really do. But
Well, and that's just it. The expense of it, like I mentioned to you before, is just something we weren't aware of. And what's required for it. We're a seasonal business. We're in the landscape industry.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming up on the winter time for us, which obviously is a cash-strapped time. We're not a snow plowing company that has revenue being generated for those months. That's why we've asked for some more time, up to 12 months, to do the sprinkler portion. We've been told, we've had 15 different contractors come to the building between fire alarm systems and sprinkler systems. Got a whole array across the board. Some are requiring 23 smoke detectors. Others are saying it's required 30 smoke detectors. Now, mind you, this is a 2,000 square foot house. Some people are saying we have to put them in every closet, 2 in every room, 3 in the hallways. I don't know what the requirement. It seems so extensive. So I know it has to be approved by the fire district, so they submit their plans. But at that point, we've gone through the expense of the engineering over the past 3 years. Have taken large amounts of time and effort to get all of those requirements met and satisfied, and have done that and managed to pay for that while keeping the doors open. And from a fire safety aspect, as I mentioned, we're willing to put the fire alarm system in that has the ability to communicate. Well, we have to pay for the monthly service that it communicates with the fire district. And if any of the smoke detectors and the heat detectors go off, it makes the fire department aware that there's something going on.
and I understand the conundrum on this. I've been involved with situations with my past business life with various locations, and you want to do the right thing, and you're right. You get all kinds of consultants in there telling you one thing, another thing. Just go right to the person, say, what do I need? And they write it out, and you turn that over to your contractor, and that's what I found in my past experience is the best, because that way you're covered under your insurance. Mm-hmm. They're covered by following the protocols and under life safety, and the village is protected by approving it. So,
and from what I understand, these guys are saying that each town is different, which is not a surprise. Each community does their own thing, but some of the fire alarm contractors were surprised we were being required to do heat detectors and smoke detectors if you're doing the sprinkler system, because a lot of times it's just the sprinkler system, and then there's I think they call them a pull of some sort by the door when you leave. But usually if you're doing one, then you don't have to have the expense of the smoke detectors and the heat detectors. But each village and community is different, so we have to go by what this village has. But as I mentioned, it's just
then we have to go under the
right under the fire district. Yeah.
We take our advice from the professionals. The professionals here have said no. Fire department has said no. The building department has said no. I am not sitting here as the mayor going to trade safety for dollars. You guys put the system in. We'd love to have you as a client here in town. But the fact is, you've been given ample period of time to build into your business model the dollars it takes to bring this building into compliance. Now you're standing in front of us a year later, again asking for a year. My answer, everybody will weigh in on this because it's a motion, is no. Put it in, build it in your budget, and make the building safe. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Trustee Sabo.
They have given us the history of what they have done since June of 2009. And each step of the way, they have documented. I feel they're being above board in doing that. And they have something that the other two that has been brought up, one is the church, does not have. The church did not have a difficult time with their property or their house or their building. The other one didn't have any problems near what these owners have. They've had to deal with engineering plans and work over 3 different managers. They've spent more money on engineering than they probably thought they would spend.
Should have built the system then.
And they've had wetland delineation. They've had drilling. They've had responses all throughout here from the village. They've had Enbridge. They've had crews to measure pipes, again, structural engineering. Wolverine Pipeline. I mean, they have, this property was complicated to begin with. But the property that they have selected is suitable for their business. And they have really tried to do what the village has wanted. It's unique. And I don't think we set a precedent by saying that that we would give them an extension for 1 year, because we're looking at this on a case-by-case basis. They say they've had 15 contractors. Has any other ones had 15 contractors? They're trying to work something out with the fire department. I don't think that they're being negligible on that. They say they have a contractor. They still have to address the sprinkler system. Is that right? Just still the sprinkler. And so if they can show that they are going to be doing that, I mean, they're a seasonal operation. They're not in business, they don't work on ponds. They don't work out on that outside. They're not gaining any money during that time. All of these are extremely unique, which makes me want to extend their reason for asking for an extension. We're going to extend it for another year. I think if their intention is there, they've already done some contracting. They have to, if they work with the fire department on this, if they're willing to do that, you know, I know life safety is very important. Again, they don't have the public going in there, but they also have to make it safe for themselves. If something can be done here, I think we should give them a chance.
What are you recommending when you're saying if something can be done here? It's been a year.
Well,
Nothing's been done in a year. Nothing.
Well, let's see. Nothing has been done in a year. November, well, I think they've been doing things. I've been trying.
We have, and we've completed all the accessibility.
Well, you know what? Let's evaluate this.
It sounds like you have your
objective-
mind made up.
No, well, you have your mind made up, but I'm looking at this objectively. I'm trying to see, they have had a lot of problems, they're willing to do something. If they can prove, they've already proved one part of the fire that they're going to, they're contracted with, let's give them a chance to do the other, the sprinkler system. I'd like to know how many fire requirements are in here. I mean, in this building, this is how, I don't know the size of this, the square footage, but I should be some comparison here as to the requirements in this building to the requirements in their 2,000 square foot home. So, everything has to be judged on a factual basis, and I'm looking at what they're trying to do. If the fire department, fire is important, safety is important, but let's give these people a chance to come forward.
Let's get back to the facts,
No,
okay?
you're right.
I'm going to read something so the public, put that camera on me. It's important to note that the staff has been working with the Kane Brothers to encourage compliance throughout this past year. The Kane Brothers were notified of the required special use permit conditions on the following occasions: the Plan Commission meeting on August 6, 2012, the Village Board meeting on August 28, 2012, an approval letter from staff dated September 6, 2012, a letter from staff dated March 5, 2013, a letter from staff dated May 25, 2013, an email from staff dated July 17, 2013, a letter from staff dated July 26, 2013. Staff, as well as the mayor and the Fire Protection District, have also met with the Kane Brothers to encourage compliance. The Kane Brothers have stated the reason for their one-year extension request on the attached request for extension from a map is they can't afford it. That's a reason to duck safety? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So you'll have multiple people coming in here asking
Right.
for the same thing.
Well, you know,
Trustee K. Janis?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I don't want to name names of some businesses in town as of recently. I don't, but I know they had to incur a great expense. And I'm talking about within the last 12 months, and figure out how to finance it, and implement the plan so they could develop their business at the locations. If this board does accept this, then I wouldn't be surprised one bit if there are several businesses that start calling into the village and questioning the integrity of the fire safety codes that they were required before they had occupancy permits. We know of some right down here on Bell Road that had to go through it, from their expansions and their developments of their business. I'm not talking about the church. I'm talking about other businesses within the last 12 months, which just got over completion, I believe, final occupancy for that development. So here we are. We're like, it's good for some, not good for others.
Makes
And
you ask
this
the
is fire
question, who
safety.
knows who? You
And
know?
this goes to fire safety issues. This is life safety standards. This is beyond our control. This is national. This is state. This is something that we don't control the writing of the legislation and the codes of it. This is bigger than us, guys. This is bigger than us. This is codes. This is beyond the village board. And it's beyond our comprehension when you start getting into the life safety codes on the national level. Now, if we don't like the life safety codes, I think we should pack our bags and go to Washington or go to Springfield. But if we don't wish to do that, then we got to follow them.
Okay, I believe Trustee Costa, was it
Yes,
Costa or
I'll
you
go
which wanted to
next.
say something?
This is a difficult decision for everybody. I'm sure it is. We have decisions to make on this board for various reasons, for businesses and for everything else. When we look at the information that's put in front of us by staff, we evaluate that. We also evaluate the information that was given us by the owner of the business. Going back to 2009, there were 118 or 120 correspondence back and forth between the owner and the village hall. A lot of this was for the planning stages. To date, the planning and engineering to this business, local business, guys that grew up in this community, has already hit $48,000. That's for plan review for their property. That is, in my estimation, first off, a lot of money, and it's excessive, whatever the reasons may have been. But that really is a separate issue. But I'm also looking at that when I'm going to make my decision on this issue. Life safety is very important. Anybody that has sit up here that say that it isn't, I think would be lying. It's just lying. And for anybody to think that a decision that the board's going to make, either yes or no, is going to infer or, tell people that we're lying if we care about it or not, I think it's a decision that we have to make as a trustee based on a lot of circumstances. This is what I'm looking at. They are a seasonal business. They have given us a very good outline of the last 4 years, what they've done in this community, the difficulties they've had, and they made no qualms about it or try to hide that they did things that weren't right, and they took their lumps for it. They got cited for it, and they admitted that they did some things wrong in the past in trying to get this business going. Again, that's another issue beside this. I think by the business owners coming in and being honest with us and frank with us, saying, it's been tough, they are seasonal, they're doing the absolute best they can. Putting in the alarm system, at least to notify the police or the fire department that there is an issue, is a huge step. And as they mentioned, with the season coming up, that, I'm sure, I can imagine, I don't know their business, but they will have bills coming in every month for the whole winter while they don't have any money coming in. If they are willing to put this in within the next year, when they were given a special use a year ago, this board approved it. This board should have had the exact same concerns at that time that we have tonight. They are asking for another year. Knowing the situation, just with seeing what they gave us with the money that they put out, trying to get the business going, and the expense of both systems, it would be very difficult to be a businessman anywhere today, just for everybody. It is a hard decision. In my mind, if something happens there, because there isn't a fire system, or if there is a fire system, you always think the worst. You feel bad about it. I think a big step that they made to committing to getting this alarm system in immediately is a big step. With giving it 1 year extension, like I said, we did it a year ago. This conversation never came up at this board. Almost all of us were sitting here, and if I remember right, it went through quite easily.
We did that in order to help them. Now we're a year later, and we're still in the same predicament, and we're being told that we can't afford it. They're not saying, Mike, they don't have anything in. They have nothing there, okay? They're still working on it.
They are putting in, they have committed and signed a contract to put in the smoke detection system. That's one step. They have said that they will get the fire suppression system in within a year.
So
They are not
Mr.
asking to not comply ever. They're asking for some consideration to give them a little bit more time.
So are you gonna do this consideration for every single person that comes in front of this board?
I think every situation brought into us is an individual situation, and we have to look at the not only the business, but the circumstances surrounding it.
So
I
when the
think that
fire
we-
department tells you they don't agree with it, and the head of your building department says, I don't agree with it, you're gonna circumvent the people that know more about fire and safety codes than this village board collectively will ever know in a lifetime. You're gonna just say, so what?
I'm not saying that I'm gonna circumvent it or that I don't care what they say, but I say that I was elected up here to make a decision.
Okay, well, let's
And
make a decision.
whatever your opinion is, either right, wrong, or mine is right or wrong, whatever my decision and vote's gonna be is what I'm gonna live with, and I'll take any heat for it.
Okay.
Well, no,
Trustee Janice?
Well, that was, Trustee Costa, that was an interesting last comment. You'll take the heat for it. Part of the fun, if it's a fire, a lot of people will be feeling the heat. You know, what you're asking right now is for us to issue an exemption, basically for 1 year, off a code that is part of state statutes and codes that people are hired to enforce. So you're asking us to circumvent them. And yes, I agree. I can honestly agree that the businesses, not only in Homer Glen, but across the board, have difficulties with finances in many respects. And unfortunately, that's the new economy. But that doesn't mean we overrule or overshadow or exempt an issue that I believe is really out of our control. It's really codes. It's life safety codes, whether we agree with them. And personally, some of the life safety codes I personally don't agree with, but it's not me, because I do believe they do put an unfair burden on businesses. But they're still written, they're not changed, and they're enforceable. It's not up to us to decide which ones and what businesses we're going to enforce it on. There are several businesses in this community that do a wonderful job that have gone through expenses and tedious moments to get up and running because of this issue, because of the sprinkler system and the heat system. And a few of them have talked to me on this issue in the past, and that's always been deferred back to fire protection. Always deferred back to. Never got involved because that is a code. That is beyond, I believe, our realm. Yes, we could issue the exemption, but by issuing the exemption, we own the situation as a village. We own it. If we exempt it, we own it. Whatever, hopefully nothing ever happens, and that would be the best case scenario.
Okay. Trustee Yukich wanted to make a comment.
Thank you,
Then
Mayor.
let's get it to a vote.
First of all, it's not an exemption. I understand where you're sitting. I own a business, and it's been very, very hard. My doors have almost closed a few times myself. You don't know where the money's gonna come from. We're in an economy that sucks right now. We're trying to build it up. I do agree with what the mayor said. Something should have been done before now. But I also understand with looking at everything that you have done, the expenses that do come out, and what a lot of people don't understand that don't own a business, don't understand at the end of the week, you gotta pay all your employees. So I don't wanna put you out of business, because in essence, this will put you out of business. You wanna put the smoke detectors and the heat sensors in, I think that's great. Get them in now, right now. As for the suppressant system, you do. As far as I'm concerned, I would give you the extension, not an exemption. And I really wouldn't want to do it for a year, but you're also a landscape business and you got 5 or 6 months that are dead. You got no money coming in. It's hard to put something in to pay for it if not. I appreciate that everything that the fire department does, and I do understand their sentiment on it, but at least if you put an alarm system in, it lights up, someone's gonna know it. You're not open to the public, so it's not like you have a lot of people in there all the time. I don't have a problem with an extension on this, but I will have a very big problem if you don't get it done now. You said you got a contract, get it going, at least it notifies them, but the suppression system after that does have to get done. So that's all I have to say.
Well, for clarification, they have a contract with an alarm system. They have no contract with a suppression system. They're telling you they cannot afford a suppression system. Your fire department here in the village of Homer Glen, and you're the head of the Public Safety Committee,
Yes.
is telling you they need it.
It's exactly what I am saying.
Okay.
Because you know what, Mayor? I've got a business that has just an alarm system. I don't have a suppression system in mine. And I know that's, you know what? That's my building. So if something does happen to it, I lose my building. I'm not gonna hurt anybody. And with what Trustee Kajania said, if it does go up in fire, everyone's gonna feel the heat. Well, you know, I disagree unless they plan on going over to it to make a bonfire. They're in a situation where money is tight. You know, you have to also look at the idea that not everybody in this village has a lot of money. Not a lot of business people have a lot of money that's just here, okay, here's all yours. And with what he just got done saying before, he's got vendors, and right now, everyone's looking to make some money. So that a lot of them are taking advantage of the people that live here, live everywhere. But he's gotten some, I'm talking, you've got people that have come before you and say, you need 20, you need 30, you need 32, you need 40. Unless you are in business and understand what is happening and how things cost, and at the end of the day, when they say, well, it's gonna run you 78,000, oh, okay, here's 78,000, no problem. Well, it is a problem. And I think that with everything that they have done with the building and the headaches that they have gone through, and they've signed a contract that at least if God forbid something does happen, that the fire department will be notified that there is a problem, and they said that they would put the suppression system in. The ball's in your court, guys. If you don't do it, you're out of business within a year. Plain and simple.
I would put it this way, just to get this to a vote. Where I have my place of business, I'd be shut down without the suppression system.
Okay.
Plain and simple, okay? That's that. This is a matter of trading dollars for safety.
It's not
You
an
want to
idea.
trade dollars
You're
for
wrong.
safety? Yes, it is.
You're wrong.
If they have the dollars, they can put it in. They're saying they don't have the dollars, but they were gonna have them a year, they asked for a year extension, and they were gonna have the dollars in a year to put the suppression system in. The suppression system still isn't in, and now they're back here asking for another year extension. Those are the facts, whether you like it or you don't like it.
I understand. it.
Okay, so, have we discussed it?
Let's bring it to a
Yeah,
vote.
have we discussed it enough?
No.
Madam Clerk,
Mayor,
please.
No,
Mayor, just one
I
quick-
still have something to say.
Trustee Sable.
I'd like to hear from Attorney Kavanaugh.
Yes, ma'am. As you know, this was a residence, and when they bought it, the property was zoned I-2, but it was a residence. And it was being converted for their uses and for their business. And that's what a lot of this expense has been. And a year ago, we did come before you, and you granted us the downzoning at your request because you don't have I-2 in your zoning ordinance. They were zoned I-2 in the county when the village of Homer Glen was formed. And they needed the special use permit for outdoor storage, which is where the conditions are, because of the fact that in your I-1, in I-2 in the county, you can have outdoor storage. In I-1, you can't, you need the special use permit. So that was done last year. They did agree to comply with all of the village codes. But again, keep in mind, this wasn't a new building, this wasn't an industrial building, this was a residence which was converted and has been converted into offices. It is not open to the public except for their employees. We're asking, and the Kane brothers have signed the contract for the fire, the alarm system. They will sign a contract for a fire suppression system. They will. They've had people coming in and giving them quotes. But it's not done now.
Counselor,
It's not done
what
within-
time
it's not
frame?
done-
What time frame are you talking about putting the suppression system in?
Hopefully within the next 6 to 9 months. But we're getting to the end of their season, Mayor, and the time for money coming in is slowing down. That's the problem. That's the problem. They have resolved all of the accessibility issues, as far as I know. All of the questions with regard to those issues. Am I wrong or not? Correct. That's correct. Okay. Those were issues that cost money. They have spent a lot of money on this site, and they pretty much outline it in the.
So let me ask you this, if you're saying they can do it in 6 to 9 months, what are we asking for a year for?
For safety's purposes, to make sure we get it done, so I'm not
'Cause it's
back
not
here
gonna
and
happen.
you're not back
Yeah,
here
yeah,
doing
all right.
this one issue, Mayor.
All right, well, I think we've, does anybody have any questions for
Yes.
their attorney?
Yes.
Trustee DeVivo.
I just wanted to ask a couple questions. How many people are in this house when working at any given time, did you say?
On average, 3 or 4 during the day.
3 or 4?
There's a salesperson that has a desk there, but he's on the road most of the day. We have a site designer that's in the office drawing, but he spends a lot of his time in the field as well. So we have a a woman that answers the phone on a regular basis, and a couple people that sit at a computer doing.
Are they there year-round? I know you're talking about it's a landscaping business, so,
Landscaping business,
yeah, are
yeah.
you there, are they going to be there year-round, or?
Most of them are, yeah. There's a couple that are laid off for, well, it depends on the season, you know, how warm the weather is outside. That's always a condition of how we can work.
The other thing is, how close are you to, like, any other building property lines? You know, there's a subdivision kind of next to you?
There's a subdivision to the west. Ace
Yeah.
Hardware is the property adjacent to us on the
Yeah,
east. And
that's
then
the
there's,
east. West, how far
the-
west? About?
the-
Is it a
the-
pretty good distance, or?
500 feet, yeah, closest residence.
Closest resident, about 100 feet?
You have a
I
home.
couldn't tell by that.
They have a home that is abuts their, from the subdivision that's next to them, there's a
So
home lot
there's
that
nothing
abuts.
stored, is there something stored around there that could potentially be a hazard of, fire hazard of any kind? And around the building? Any kind of,
I suppose, I mean, there's lots of trees around, there's trucks and machinery, those types of things that are parked there.
well, my personal opinion, and I know this obviously has turned into a heated issue, I mean, I can't even imagine how difficult it is to start a business and to keep going, and you're dumping all your money into it. I mean, I'm not thinking you guys are going to Vegas every other month, so it's difficult, and it takes time. You know, you don't just make your money, you know, over one season and then think you're rolling in dough. That doesn't happen. I'd really like to see the village try to work with these people to keep their business here. That's my opinion. And I don't know, I mean, I'm not saying anything against the fire codes. I know some of our codes are very difficult. People that have come to us before have said that it's hard to run a business in this town. And I'm not saying that we should change ours. I'm just saying those are the kinds of things that you know, I have heard from business owners. So I really would like to see the village work with these people to keep this business here if possible.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask?
Go ahead, trustee Kay
And I
Janis.
understand, this is like a child that you nurture and you're trying to get to grow up and get legs and stand up on its own. And every time you turn around, the child needs something new, a new pair of shoes, and you're constantly spending money to get that child up and going. I understand this. Now, you had mentioned something. To me, this alarm system is interesting. Is the alarm system installed, or is it under contract? See, it's been the alarm system, and then we're talking about fire suppression. Is the alarm system being installed or soon to be installed? When
It
will
is
this
under
take place?
contract, Trustee Katsianis. The contractor will need to work with the fire department to make sure that everything is done according to what the fire department wants.
And under this,
There is a contract, though, to install.
and under this alarm system, it goes through a central station? It goes to remote stations, so it doesn't patch into? Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay,
Let's call the vote.
okay.
If you would
Mayor,
repeat
from
the
a,
motion,
just from
please.
an administrative standpoint, if I
Go
could,
ahead.
because you kind of
Go right ahead.
pay me to separate myself from the discussion and just think about the details. Your motion currently is a 12-month extension for suppression and alarm, okay? So from a staff perspective, I don't know that that's really what the board wants when you're discussing up there. Sounds like you want the alarm system installed sooner than 12 months from now. I'm just telling you from an administrative standpoint, I turn to Joe and I say they have 12 months for both. That's what your motion says. So-
In the spirit of trying to work with a business in this town, and of course I want business in this town, we run on sales tax dollars, we're all aware of that. When can the first part of this be accomplished? It sounds like you're, a year
soon as
later,
the contractor-
hold on, let me
Mayor.
finish. A year later, you're telling me, well, we're gonna work with the building department and we're thinking about this. It doesn't take, you've built before, Dick. I know you. I've used you as an
Your Honor,
attorney.
Your Honor.
The fact of the matter is give me a date when the alarm system can be installed. And then we can make this motion to reflect the fact that you will have the alarm system in place on such and such a day, and within 1 year or 9 months, as you said, the outside, you can have the suppression system in.
Mayor, we have a contractor in place. The contractor has to work with, I assume, the village, I know the fire department, to get it done. And some of the things that we have dealt with in the past have been difficult, and things always haven't gone as smoothly as they should. And you have the timeline here with respect to that.
Let's not point the finger at people. Joe, how long does it take you to approve a suppression system or an alarm system if they submit it?
You can review it in a day.
In a day, 1 day, okay? Let's stop with all the BS. Joe, how long does it take you to review it?
I get Joey's comments, usually the same day.
There you go, 1 day. So when are you gonna put it in?
We hired a contractor, so it's.
When is the contractor gonna put it in?
We're waiting to hear from his schedule. I would assume.
Well, why don't you, I'm hearing a bunch of runaround and what have you. As far as I'm talking, why don't you come back here when you have a date when you can put the alarm system
Mayor,
in?
why are we beating them up?
Wait. How
We don't
about
want-
30
there's-
days? How about if we just say 30 days?
Let's not beat them up.
What are you giving them a carte blanche for?
I'm not giving them a carte blanche.
There are building
Let's go to
permit-
vote. Let's go to vote right now.
I move to table.
No,
days.
There's a
there's a
first
call.
to table.
No,
There's a
there's
first,
a call
there is
for
no
the vote.
discussion, there's a first to table.
No,
There is no discussion at a
There
table.
was a call for a vote, and that's first.
Motion to table by trustee K. Janis. Is there a second? Is there a second to table?
For 30 days.
Okay, motion fails to table.
Motion to
Now.
vote now.
Please
No
read
more
the
discussion.
motion. Please read the motion again. I'm calling for the vote.
But do we know what this motion is?
No. I'd like to,
Cameron, can we split the motion to two? They have to have the suppression system, or they have to have the
No, I want the vote.
alarm system?
George, you have an attorney here that can answer that.
I asked for a call for the
Trustee
vote,
Sabo,
just as it says.
We're not finished discussing this. Trustee Yukich has a question.
It's up to the chair to decide when to call the vote.
It's up
to
to-
the chair to decide when to call the vote under the circumstances that are presented. The
No.
person that made the motion can withdraw the motion, and then the person that made the second can withdraw the second. Then it's-
We're not asking that.
There's a second on the motion.
And that would allow
Time out,
you
time out.
to
Do we-
address,
Pull the mic
trust-
up to you
to
a
address trustee
Question-
Eustis' point.
no.
That would allow you to separate the motions
Kim.
if you wanted to.
Kim,
You could do two different ones.
the question was asked whether you can split the vote. The answer to the question is yes. The process for that is to withdraw the motion and withdraw the second. And then that can be a combined motion to grant an extension for X period of time on the suppression system and for another period of time on the detection system. Or you can vote on it separately. I would just vote it on one motion. All that can be done, yes.
Okay, does that answer your question, trustee Yukich?
Do we have to read?
You wanna, let's just put it through the way it is. Let's just make the motion the way it is. Let's take a vote on the motion that you have. on
Well,
the
we have a
table
first
right
and second on the motion as it reads. The motion as it reads, J6, is there a motion to grant a one-year extension of the existing special use permit for the property commonly known as 12137 West 159th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, Kane Brothers? There is a first and there is a second. Is discussion over with? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye, but I also want to say you better get that in. That's, I'm telling you, you better get it.
Trustee K. Janis?
you will, Dick, we've known each other a long time. Okay, we've known each other a long time. I vote aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, that was lively. We would be J7. Is there a motion to assign a Class E liquor license, temporary license to Walter Kono for various dates extending from, there is a change, hold on here, let me read my dates, from September 7th through October 20th, 2013 for Kono's Corn Maze located at 16849 Cedar Road, Homer Glen. The date change that is made, and I'm not sure you have it in your records there, is September 8th is not a date anymore, and October 6th has been added. Is there a motion?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa, second by trustee DeVivo. Is there any discussion?
I have one question.
Shoot.
When I was speaking with the lawyer before, and we were talking about the liquor license, it was informed that there was supposed to be a special use permit for any kind of a liquor license. So what I would like to do is, if that is the case and that is the way the ordinance reads, I would like to set it up for an amendment to the ordinance to be able to exclude temporary permits. Because if you have the temporary permit on this one, and by what, like I said, what the lawyer told us, you have to have a special use permit for every single solitary liquor license that we have, then we should amend this one to exclude it from going through the special use permit system.
Right, I think, trustee Yukich, it's a good point to bring up. I think when the attorneys come back with their recommendations and their information, that might be one of the items that they come forward with. Historically, looking back, now that I've had an opportunity to do that this past year, this past week, I haven't been able to find a special permit historically going all the way back where the village board did a special use permit. That includes, obviously, the permits we gave to ourselves.
Correct.
For festivals. So obviously, there's a historical precedence that goes back years, 11 years, where you've been doing special permits like this without a special use permit. So, but I think the letter of the law, I think your attorney will probably have some recommendations for some changes.
So what I would like to do in a case like that, because just because we did it and it wasn't right doesn't make it right. So what I want to do is, let's see what the law firm says on this. If it is a case, I would like to have it on the agenda that we can amend the ordinance to exclude temporary permits.
I believe, George, that the village manager has it for a workshop. Is that correct?
Well, when the attorneys give us their recommendations back, then I'll try to schedule
once we get
it.
the information from the attorneys
yeah.
about what's transpired and everything else. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. We'll get it on the agenda.
You're gonna have to amend the zoning ordinance, because the way your zoning ordinance is written now is any liquor license of any kind, and it doesn't make an exception, requires a special use permit.
Okay.
So technically, the church, all the churches, your own festival, you have to have a special use
Right.
permit.
That's why I'd
You've
like to
never
see
done
it. Right.
Right, in order to amend that, it's not gonna be a simple matter of simply passing an ordinance. You're gonna have to go back before the planning commission to have a public hearing to amend the ordinance. Because you're amending the zoning ordinance.
So the best way
Any
to do.
amendments, excuse me, Kim, and any
Yeah.
amendments to the zoning ordinance require a public hearing.
So, two things. So I think there'll be a number of things that the attorneys will probably recommend, because as I look back historically, going over, previous administration and everything going back 12 years, I think there's gonna be a number of issues that we're gonna have to deal with, okay? So, I assume that you wouldn't wanna hold this up, since you've probably done 10, 20, 30.
I don't
special-
want to hold it up, but I
Yeah.
also want to make sure that what we're doing is the correct way.
Going forward, sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're all on the same page.
Trustee Sabo.
You have to search for this. You'd have to do some research on this. But I thought for these special events, that a special use permit was not required. For special events like the fest and like if a church wants to have it. I don't recall that we required a special use for a special event.
Right.
I
think your
Kono
challenge.
or like any other event that wants to serve.
I think your challenge, really quickly, I think the challenge is the attorney, the liquor license is pretty specific. So I think as we move forward and we finish our codification process, so we once and for all actually have a code, we'll see a number of different areas where things conflict that we're going to have to go back and fine tune and fix. And I think you'll see some recommendations like that from the attorney.
Looking at the special permit language, and I wasn't looking at it in the context of this meeting, but the other issues that have popped up lately, and it says any alcohol license. It's not well written, because it says for the sale of packaged liquors or any alcohol, that a special use permit is required. And then when you look across the zoning classifications, for alcohol, it's marked, special use, special use, special use.
Okay.
So, I understand what your history has been, I'm not telling you not to utilize it, I'm saying that you need to get this fixed so you don't have a problem.
Well,
So does anybody, to cut to the chase here, we're doing codification, we're
Right.
going to address it as you
Let's
spoke
pass it the
about.
way it is, but let's look
Correct,
into this.
correct. Does anybody have a problem issuing this license?
No.
Okay, neither do I. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Pagianis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Costa, aye. Okay. Motion carries. This would be J8. Is there a motion to direct the mayor to notify IDOT that the Village of Homer Glen wants IDOT to install backlit street signage at all intersections within the village's corporate limits as part of the 159th Street Improvement Project? It is understood that the cost of these lights shall be paid out of the capital bond proceeds dedicated to the 159th Street Improvement Project.
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo,
I second.
second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion? Madam
Yes.
Trustee Costa?
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Boy, do I got a screaming headache.
See, I take Advil before I come, Mayor, and it helps to take the edge off. I don't want to make light of it.
Sure.
But the Advil does help. At our Admin and Finance Committee, I did make a comment to this situation, to this, what we're looking at tonight. You know, we have a number of communities around us that have installed these or possibly will be installing these in the near future. The backlit streetlights, traffic lights, or the streetlights that name the street that you're coming up to. It's also been brought up in meeting that at one point, and actually it's almost your preference on this more than, I don't want to use the word necessity, but preference. Personally, I just don't think they fit our community. Most of the areas that I've noticed these backlit streetlights are in communities that they have got larger commercial areas where it's a 4, 5, 6, 8 block area where coming up to an intersection will direct people to get to Street A because they know they have to get to Street A to get to this other business or whatever it is. 159th Street, it's one commercial corridor. I think with the normal street signs that are up there, to me, they would be adequate. That's what we all know. I know times change, but I just don't think it's a right fit for our community. What I would like, two more comments, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Two more comments. Actually, a resident made a comment to me, and of course, so many issues that are difficult to go with, we ask residents' opinions. They said, first off, they would rather see directional signs, something very tasteful, something that matches our, let's say, our village sign. So as you're coming up to a Bell Road, there could be a sign there, and again, very tasteful, that says auto repair to the left, or restaurants to the left, or, you know, gas stations, food, right, something like that. This way, it's not only saying it's Bell Road, it's telling somebody, hey, you know, there's auto repair place right up here if you make a turn, or a medical center. They think, you know, and I agree with them, I think that would be a better use of money rather than having a sign that's gonna be up there lit saying it's Cedar Road. And when you get to Cedar Road, you kind of know that there's schools one way and there's farmland the other way. In the right community, I think it's a good fit. In ours, I just don't think it fits in with what we, you know, what we look at like. And I am against using bond money anyway for this. I don't think that's what the intention of the bond was for, not for lit street signs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Personally, I see the use of it. The speed limit will be higher than most streets that you would travel in Homer Glen. The backlit signs will be very identifiable. They are used in very high-end communities. I wouldn't say that I'd use them on interior streets in the village of Homer Glen. However, when I do not know the exact speed limit that's going to be there, but when you have 4 lanes with turning lanes, 2 lanes in each direction, I would assume the speed limit will probably be up there. And this will assist people in identifying as they're driving down 159th Street. And I agree with Trustee Costa, it's a matter of choice. It's, you like a piece of art, you don't like a piece of art, that type of thing. So, is there any further comment? Madam Clerk, please.
Yes.
Trustee Sabo.
Well, maybe others have comments.
Didn't sound like it. Go ahead.
No, I don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't like the use of bond money for this. I don't think this is a necessary expense. I think there's better ways to warn people or to inform people that there's an intersection. There's reflective signage that can be, that's put in place. It's a standard practice. I think that there's certainly, I would hate to get up to the intersection to find out. I want to find out what it is. And so I really don't think this is, necessary. I don't see, there's a maintenance cost with this. I don't think it's a thing that we would like to see taxpayers pay for.
Okay. The whatever signage you pick, the taxpayers will pay for it.
Not
We're-
excessive decorative signage.
Okay.
Necessary signage
Okay.
identifying the village.
I get where you're going.
Good.
Any further comments?
No.
Okay. Madam Trustee DeVivo?
My comment is simply the same as I made at Admin and Finance. I think it's a safety issue, and I appreciate when I'm in another community that does have backlit signs. We are an aging society, and I can say for myself that I need to have that light, that I need to be able to look up and see a sign that's lit in a couple seconds, know just what street it is to turn on. So I think it's a good thing. I think they're a good thing. That's just a personal preference, like you said, so.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Nay.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
No.
Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Yukich?
No.
Okay, motion fails. The next order of business is old business. Is there any old business? Trustee Costa?
I'm sorry, Mayor, just one sentence. When Trustee Sways gave her report on Homer Harvest Days, I was going to say something, but I forgot. This year, we're actually adding a mustache contest. We're kind of excited about it. We have 3 categories.
You win.
I'm sorry.
You win.
No. Trustees don't count. No, 3 categories. It's going to be fun. Best handlebar, longest mustache, and bushiest mustache. But it's going to be fun.
What's the time
got a
again?
week to grow
Saturday?
it.
Is that
Pardon me?
Saturday?
Well, we wanted to tell you 12 days before, so some of us have a little head start on it. But it kind of goes in, with the kids having a pie eating contest. Now the big kids can have a mustache growing contest. So you don't have to start growing it today. It's, of course, okay. I just want to say that, Mayor. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, now you're gonna start a fight with my wife and I, because now I'm gonna have to grow it out, and she's not gonna like that.
You won't make it in 12 days, Trustee.
Okay, is there any other old business?
Yes.
Yes, Trustee Sabo.
Hearing what Resident Dennis Gerwing had provided us in a report, it's old business, so I think we should re-examine ordinance, the liquor license for spas. I think we should reconsider this. I think that we should be discussing this, and if it's proper, according to the attorney, to make a motion under old business, I would like to make that motion to reconsider the liquor licenses for spas, liquor wars and
I'm sorry, do you have to do an ordinance to repeal the ordinance? So the thing to do would be to bring an ordinance before the village board at the next board meeting, repealing that ordinance.
Okay, I would like that done, to have that brought before the next village board meeting, an ordinance that could consider that.
Now, we do, if I'm correct, have a business that,
Yeah, they're scheduled for a special use permit before the planning commission. They've already I believe they've already filed that in, just so you know. And obviously, we've been telling them through the process, since the board has been supportive of it, that that license would be available. So we would have to call them tomorrow and tell them that there's a chance it won't be. They haven't started their construction project yet, so that may affect their decision. Because that was the very first thing she mentioned when we met with her.
a high-end place wanted to come in.
I would just have to tell her that, to be honest with her, so she
And
wasn't surprised.
That was one of their things that they requested as part of taking a space in Homer Glen, that they could build that into their package.
Right,
We
'cause they
voted
have
on
one in
it.
Lockport.
We voted on it, we approved it, they're stepping in to do their build-out, which means that we would have to contact them tomorrow and tell them, as the village manager stated, that hold the brakes again in Homer Glen. We may change another ordinance, and you may not want to come here. So,
Well, I think that the resident Gerwing has brought some valid issues to the board for us to think about. This, I think this is a serious topic when it involves alcohol, and I think that we should have a discussion on this and reconsider what we would want to do.
okay, well, is this under old business, new?
Under new business, a motion to get the attorney prepared ordinance repealing the ordinance.
Okay, would you like to have a poll of the board before we either waste time with the attorney or not? I'm gonna ask the board, would they be interested in supporting, repealing, having a village attorney create an ordinance to repeal the ordinance that was put in effect?
I didn't say repeal.
Well, what are you asking for then?
I said to reconsider that. I mean, we want to
Well,
look
the
at
attor-
it, to address it. Maybe we want to add something to it.
Go ahead, trustee Yukich.
With the law firm looking into the liquor ordinance the way it sits right now, I think we should give him the time to be able to look into the ordinance to see if this does fit. Because if some of the things that Mr. Gerwig said are true, we couldn't let him have it anyhow. Because from what he's saying, the state is saying, no, you can't.
No,
All I'm saying is,
The state has awarded
I
hundreds
can't-
of these licenses across the state, just so you know, because they have to get a state license too. The state has awarded many licenses for spas across the state.
Okay, but
So
all
I just
I'm
want that-
asking is just to have Mark take a look and see what it is and make sure
Okay,
there's
not a
no
problem.
problems with it.
Mr. Stark has no problem with it. Trustee Costa?
Yeah, if Attorney Stirk wants to look into it, you know, I don't want to say anything against any other community, but I can say that when I used to get a haircut, and we're going back quite a while, many years ago, I've been in the communities that say that they don't allow it, and establishments actually served it. I'm saying that we made it, our ordinance is making it legal, so we have some say-so in this, so I really am okay with it, but let Attorney Stirk look into it further. As of right now, I'm okay with the ordinance, Mayor.
I am too. So, is there any further discussion? All right, then that ends new business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
First by trustee Yukich.
Second. No,
First by trustee Costa.
Second.
The guy with all the hair down there. And second by trustee Yukich. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Meeting adjourned.